Welcome to Elder Zen. Hit subscribe for simple health tips made just for seniors. Stay tuned. Your next great day starts here. Have you ever been startled by a strange new symptom, a sudden numbness in your arm, or a shortness of breath that seemed to come out of nowhere and wondered, is this serious? Should I worry? For many seniors, health changes can feel mysterious and sometimes frightening. Maybe it happens while you're reading the newspaper or out walking in the garden. One moment you feel fine, and the next, your body is sending you signals you can't ignore. Now, here's a question that almost every older adult or caring family member has asked at some point. How do I know if what I'm feeling is a stroke, a blood clot, or something else? The reality is that both stroke and pulmonary embolism, often called PE, are silent, sudden, and potentially devastating conditions. And here's what's truly tricky. Their warning signs can sometimes overlap, appear mild at first, or be so subtle that they're brushed off as just part of aging. Imagine this. You're enjoying a quiet afternoon and suddenly you feel dizzy. Maybe your face feels a little funny. Your speech slurs for a second, or you notice your vision blurring. Is it a stroke, or could it be something else, like a blood clot in your lungs? Or perhaps you're sitting down after a long car ride and suddenly you're breathless, your heart is racing, or you feel a strange pain in your chest. Is that your heart, your lungs, or could it be your brain? For seniors, especially those over 60, this confusion is more common than you might think. That's because both stroke and pulmonary embolism share risk factors like age, high blood pressure, a history of clots, or recent illness and surgery. But while both are urgent medical emergencies, they affect the body in different ways, require different treatments, and demand fast, accurate action. Let's pause for a moment and acknowledge something important. Most of us don't want to overreact. We don't want to rush to the ER for every ache and pain, but we also don't want to miss the signs of a true emergency, because with stroke and pulmonary embolism, every second counts. That's why understanding the key differences between these two conditions is more than just health trivia. It's a way to protect your independence, your brain, your lungs, and your life. So, why do people mix up stroke and pulmonary embolism? The answer lies in the way both can come on suddenly, both can strike without warning, and both are deeply tied to the circulation of blood in your body. But there are clues clear. Knowable differences that every senior and everyone who loves them should learn. Throughout this video, we'll break down these two silent threats in clear, everyday language. We'll show you exactly what happens in the body during a stroke versus a pulmonary embolism, which symptoms to watch for, and why acting fast doesn't just apply to stroke, it can save your life with a pay too. We'll share real-life stories of seniors who got the right help just in time, and offer step-by-step guidance on when to call for help, what to tell your doctor, and how to lower your risks moving forward. Whether you're a senior looking out for yourself, a caregiver keeping a watchful eye, or someone who simply wants to be prepared, you're in the right place. This isn't about scaring you, it's about equipping you with knowledge, confidence, and hope. Grab a notepad, settle into your favorite chair, and get ready to learn what every older adult needs to know. Because the difference between a stroke and a pulmonary embolism isn't just a medical fact. It could be the difference between recovery and disability, between quick action and long-term harm. By the end of today's video, you'll know how to spot the warning signs, how to describe your symptoms to a healthcare professional, and how to stay one step ahead of these two dangerous but treatable conditions. You'll be ready to share this wisdom with others, and you'll have practical steps you can start today to protect your brain, your lungs, and your future. Let's dive in together and turn knowledge into power. After all, every second matters, and every senior deserves to feel safe, confident, and strong, no matter what health challenges may come. Now that we've set the stage, let's take a closer look at what's actually happening inside your body when a stroke or a pulmonary embolism hits. Knowing the mechanics helps you recognize danger, trust your instincts, and act quickly when it matters most. Let's start with stroke, since this is a word most of us have heard many times, whether from a doctor, a news headline, or perhaps even in our own family history. A stroke occurs when the blood supply to a part of your brain is suddenly blocked or reduced. It's like having a traffic jam on the highway that feeds your brain with oxygen and nutrients. Sometimes the blockage comes from a clot, an ischemic stroke, other times from a burst blood vessel, a hemorrhagic stroke. But in either case, brain cells begin to die within minutes if the blood flow isn't restored. This is why you often hear the phrase, "time is brain." The faster you act, the more of your abilities and memories you can save. What does this feel like? For many people, the warning signs come out of the blue. Maybe your face droops on one side, your arm suddenly feels weak or numb, or your speech becomes slurred and hard to understand. The classic FAST test face, arms, speech, time was created so everyone, not just doctors, could spot a stroke. Smile and see if your mouth droops. Try to raise both arms and see if one drifts down. Speak a simple sentence and check if your words come out jumbled. If any of these happen, it's time to call emergency services right now. But let's not forget about pulmonary embolism, or PE, because its story is just as urgent. A pulmonary embolism is a blood clot that has traveled often from the deep veins in your legs, up through your bloodstream and lodged in your lungs. Imagine a river suddenly blocked by a fallen tree. Everything upstream swells and backs up, and downstream, nothing gets through. In your body, this means blood can't pick up the oxygen your lungs are trying to provide. And the heart has to work dangerously hard to keep things moving. The tricky thing is, PE doesn't always shout, it often whispers. Sometimes it feels like sudden shortness of breath, maybe while resting, or just after standing up. You might notice a racing heartbeat, a sharp chest pain, especially when you take a deep breath, or a cough that just won't quit. Some people feel faint, dizzy, or even pass out. Others only notice swelling, redness, or warmth in one leg before things get worse. The symptoms can be subtle, but the consequences are not. What's really important here is that both stroke and pulmonary embolism can come on suddenly, but they affect different parts of the body and require different treatments. A stroke is an emergency for your brain. A pulmonary embolism is an emergency for your lungs and heart. In both cases, the sooner you get help, the better your chances of a full recovery. Sometimes, especially for seniors, these emergencies can be confused for other problems like a panic attack, low blood sugar, a pinched nerve, or just getting older. That's why it's so important to know your own baseline. Trust your instincts, and never ignore a symptom that's new, severe, or unexplained. You know your body better than anyone. If something feels truly wrong, you're not overreacting, you're being wise. And here's another key. Telling the difference often comes down to the combination of symptoms. If your face droops and your speech is slurred, think stroke. If you're suddenly short of breath, with chest pain or a swollen leg, consider pulmonary embolism. Either way, don't wait to see if it passes. Get help immediately. In the next segment, we'll walk through real-life scenarios and stories from seniors who trusted their gut, made the call, and got the care they needed in time. Because when it comes to stroke and pulmonary embolism, the best thing you can do is listen to your body and act with confidence and courage. Stay with us, because every story you hear and every tip you learn could be the difference between worry and wisdom, between uncertainty and action. Let's keep going together. Let's continue by bringing these medical terms down to earth, right into the living rooms and daily routines of people just like you. Because, at the end of the day, knowledge is only as powerful as our willingness to use it, and stories help. You must remember what matters most. Picture this. It's a regular afternoon. You're sitting in your favorite chair, maybe working on a crossword or sipping tea. When you suddenly feel a wave of confusion wash over you. Maybe you can't remember a word you've said 1,000 times before, or your right hand drops the remote control for no clear reason. For many seniors, this moment can be both frightening and baffling. You might wonder, is it my memory? Did I just stand up too fast? Or is it something serious? This is exactly how a stroke can begin. Subtle, unexpected, but unmistakably different from anything you felt before. And for so many, these are the moments where quick thinking can save precious memories, independence, or even a life. We've heard countless stories of seniors who recognized the signs. Maybe it was a neighbor who noticed slurred speech at a bridge game, or a grandchild who spotted an uneven smile on a FaceTime call. The lesson is always the same. Don't shrug it off. When in doubt, call for help. Now let's flip the scene. Imagine waking up after a long nap, stretching your legs, and realizing one calf feels oddly swollen and tender. Maybe you chalk it up to sleeping funny or not moving enough. But then, as you stand up, you feel a sudden tightness in your chest, a pressure that makes you pause. Take shallow breaths and sit down again. Your heart starts pounding, your head feels light, and a sense of unease creeps in. This could be the silent approach of a pulmonary embolism, one that started as a deep vein clot, only revealing itself when it blocked the blood flow in your lungs. It's in these quiet city A moments that our bodies often whisper their first warning. Some people feel only a mild ache in their leg or a slight cough, while others may find themselves gasping for air with no explanation. What's so important is recognizing that these symptoms are not normal for you, not just the result of getting older or having a lazy day. They are your body's call to action. Let's talk about what happens when people listen to those signals. One senior named Ruth shared that she felt unusually dizzy one morning, and instead of pushing through as usual, she told her daughter, who insisted on calling for help. Ruth had a mini stroke, a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, and because she acted quickly, her doctors were able to prevent a much larger, more damaging stroke. On the other hand, we've also heard stories from seniors like Bill, who ignored his calf pain until a family member noticed swelling and redness. They went to the ER, where doctors caught a blood clot before it could travel to his lungs. So, what's the message here? It's simple but powerful. Don't downplay new or sudden symptoms, especially if they come out of nowhere, feel severe, or don't go away with rest. Trust your instincts, lean on your loved ones, and remember, calling for help is never an overreaction when it comes to your health. In our next segment, we'll walk through a side-by-side guide to the key warning signs and symptoms of both stroke and pulmonary embolism. You'll see just how different they can be, but also where they might overlap and confuse even the most attentive among us. With the right information and a healthy respect for your own body's wisdom, you can be prepared to act fast, smart, and with the confidence that you're doing exactly what's needed. So, stay tuned as we break down the signs, the signals, and the best ways to stay ahead of trouble. Because with every story and every tip, you're building a toolkit not just for yourself, but for the friends, family, and neighbors who might need you one day. Let's continue this journey together, and always moving forward. As we move deeper into our conversation today, let's focus on what truly matters. Understanding the clear differences between a stroke and a pulmonary embolism, so you can respond with clarity and confidence. Both are medical emergencies. Both strike silently, but their warning signs, risk factors, and first responses can look surprisingly different. Yet, when you know what to watch for, you're giving yourself and your loved ones a real advantage. Let's start with strokes. Imagine the brain as your personal command center, a place where thoughts, speech, movement, and memories are all orchestrated. When a stroke hits, it's usually because blood flow to a part of the brain is suddenly blocked or a blood vessel bursts. This means brain cells start to die within minutes, which is why speed matters so much. What are the hallmark symptoms you need to remember? The acronym FAST can help. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call emergency services. But let's break that down further. A sudden droop or numbness on one side of the face, an arm that can't be lifted or feels heavy, garbled or slurred speech. Or sudden confusion, these are all red flags. Sometimes, a stroke can cause sudden loss of balance, a severe headache, or trouble seeing out of one or both eyes. If you or someone you love experiences any of these, even for a few moments, treat it as an emergency. Every second truly counts. Now, let's shift our focus to pulmonary embolism, or PEM. While a stroke affects the brain, a pulmonary embolism strikes at the lungs. It often begins quietly, with a blood clot forming in the deep veins of the legs, a condition called deep vein thrombosis. When this clot breaks loose and travels to the lungs, it blocks the flow of blood, suddenly starving your body and your brain of precious oxygen. So, what does a pulmonary embolism feel like? Here's where it gets tricky. The symptoms can mimic other common issues. You might feel a sudden sharp pain in your chest, especially when you breathe in. Or maybe you're short of breath after doing something simple, like walking to the mailbox. Some people notice their heart racing, a cough that won't go away sometimes, bringing up blood, or a leg that swells up, feels warm, or turns red. Here's the crucial point. While both conditions can cause confusion, dizziness, or fainting, a stroke's symptoms are usually focused on movement, speech, or the senses, while PEM's symptoms are centered on breathing, chest discomfort, and leg changes. But how do you tell the difference, especially when you're scared or overwhelmed? The best advice is to trust your gut, act fast, and never ignore a new, sudden, or unexplained symptom. It's always better to call for help and find out it's nothing serious than to wait and wish you had done more. Sometimes, these emergencies can overlap. Imagine a person with both risk factors for stroke, like high blood pressure or atrial fibrillation, and for pulmonary embolism, like recent surgery, long travel, or being sedentary. For seniors, knowing your own health history, tracking your medications, and sharing concerns openly with family and healthcare providers can make all the difference. So, as you listen today, take a moment to check in with yourself. Do you know your own warning signs? Have you talked with your loved ones about what to do in an emergency? Do you have the confidence to call for help, even if you're not completely sure what's happening? Because when you're informed, you're empowered, and that's a feeling that lasts far beyond today's conversation. In our next segment, we'll go over practical, easy-to-remember steps you can take right now to protect yourself from both stroke and pulmonary embolism. Stay with us, because every tip, every question, and every new habit could be the one that changes a life. Now that we've explored the key differences between stroke and pulmonary embolism, let's focus on what's within your control: prevention and early action. This is the part that truly empowers you, because while some risks are unavoidable, so many life-saving choices are in your hands, sometimes quite literally. Let's begin with small, daily habits. Movement is your best ally. Whether you're reading, watching TV, or enjoying a family gathering, try to stand up and stretch every hour. Even gentle movements, flexing your ankles, rolling your shoulders, or walking to the kitchen for a glass of water help keep your blood flowing. If you've just had surgery or been ill, set a timer or ask a loved one to remind you. It's not about running marathons. It's about breaking up long periods of sitting. Hydration is another unsung hero. Your blood relies on water to flow smoothly. Seniors often don't feel thirsty, even when the body needs fluid. So make it a habit to sip water throughout the day. Keep a favorite cup nearby, and remember that soups, fruits, and herbal teas count too. Medication management is crucial. Many seniors take blood pressure medicine, heart pills, or blood thinners. It's important to know what each medication does and why you're taking it. Keep a list, share it with your doctor at every visit, and ask questions if you're ever unsure. And if you're prescribed blood thinners for atrial fibrillation, recent surgery, or a previous blood clot, take them exactly as directed, never skipping doses. Now, let's talk about recognizing the moment to act. If you feel an unusual weakness on one side, sudden trouble speaking, or a drooping face, think stroke, remember fast, and call emergency services without hesitation. If you suddenly can't catch your breath, experience sharp chest pain, or notice a swollen, painful leg, think pulmonary embolism again. Don't wait. Immediate action can mean the difference between a quick recovery and lasting damage. But here's a secret many people overlook. Staying connected is as powerful as any medicine. Loneliness and isolation make it harder to notice new symptoms or to ask for help. Make a point to check in with friends, family, or neighbors. Share your concerns. Compare notes on how you're feeling and encourage each other to stay active and informed. Sometimes a loved one will spot a change in your speech gait or energy before you do. Education is your best defense. Consider posting the fast warning signs on your fridge or keeping a card in your wallet with both stroke and pulmonary embolism symptoms listed. Review your emergency contacts and keep a phone nearby. If you care for a senior, have open conversations about these risks and what to do in an emergency role play if that helps reduce anxiety. Real-life stories bring this advice to life. Think of Mary, who kept a small notepad of her symptoms. When her handwriting suddenly grew shaky and her words got jumbled, her daughter noticed immediately and called for help. Mary had a minor stroke, but thanks to quick action, she recovered fully. Or Paul, who felt a weird heaviness in his leg after a long car ride. He remembered hearing about blood clots, called his doctor, and was treated for DVT before it could cause a pulmonary embolism. Each of us has the chance to write our own story, one healthy habit at a time. By choosing to learn, to move, to hydrate, and to speak up, you protect not just yourself, but everyone who loves and depends on you. As we approach our final segment, keep in mind, you have more power than you realize. Prevention isn't about living in fear. It's about living with intention and enjoying each day, knowing you're prepared for whatever comes. Stay tuned as we wrap up with practical resources, encouragement, and one final message of hope. As we draw this important conversation to a close, it's essential to remember that knowledge is not just power, it's peace of mind. And when it comes to stroke and pulmonary embolism, being informed isn't just about memorizing symptoms. It's about weaving this awareness into your everyday life so you can truly live with confidence and independence. So, what does moving forward look like for you and your loved ones? It starts with a mindset shift. Instead of thinking that could never happen to me, try embracing, I know what to do if it does. This simple mental adjustment can change everything. It transforms fear into readiness and worry into proactive care. Let's revisit your daily routines because prevention is not about drastic overhauls, but about gentle, consistent improvements. Every morning as you rise, take a moment to do a body scan. How do you feel? Is anything new or unusual? A little self-awareness goes a long way. Maybe add a gentle stretch, a walk down the hallway, or a few deep breaths by the window. These simple rituals keep your body and mind tuned to subtle changes. Don't underestimate the value of communication. If you live alone, consider a daily check-in with a friend or family member. This could be a quick phone call, a text, or even a friendly wave through the window. Share how you're feeling, especially if something seems off. Sometimes the act of describing a symptom out loud helps you recognize when you need extra help. Next, let's talk about advocacy. Doctors are experts, but you are the expert on your own body. Bring a written list of questions or symptoms to each appointment. Don't shy away from sharing concerns about stroke or pulmonary embolism risk. Ask your doctor to explain the difference between the two. review your medications for possible side effects, and walk you through an emergency action plan. If you're unsure, keep pressing for clarity. Your health deserves nothing less. Consider technology as your ally, not your enemy. Wearable devices, pill organizers with alarms, and health tracking apps can all support your efforts. Even keeping a small journal to note changes in mood, mobility, or pain can be incredibly revealing. Over time, if you have family nearby, share this log with them, so more eyes and ears are tuned in to your well-being. Community plays a powerful role too. Join a local walking group, attend a senior center workshop, or participate in online forums about healthy aging. The more you connect, the more you learn, and the more likely you are to hear stories and tips that can save lives. Don't hesitate to share your own experiences too. You never know whose life your story might touch. And always remember, taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's a gift to those who love you. Every step you take toward prevention, every sign you notice early is a step toward more birthdays, more holidays, and more moments to cherish with your family and friends. As we close this segment, reflect on how far you've come just by listening and learning today. You are already ahead of the curve. Carry this knowledge with you. Review the warning signs regularly, keep emergency numbers handy, and practice those small, daily habits that add up to big results over time. If you ever feel overwhelmed, take heart in knowing you are not alone. Reach out to your doctor, your loved ones, or community resources. Help is always closer than you think. And finally, as you go about your day, whether you're enjoying a quiet morning, planning a trip, or savoring time with grandchildren, know that every choice you make for your health is a choice for more joy, more adventure, and more life. Stay safe, stay curious, and most importantly, stay empowered. As we wrap up our journey through the crucial differences between stroke and pulmonary embolism, and more importantly, what these conditions truly mean for you or your loved ones, I want to leave you with a message of hope, empowerment, and practical wisdom. Because while the risks are real and the warning signs can be subtle, your ability to take charge of your health is stronger than you may realize. Let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've uncovered today. We've walked through the ways both stroke and pulmonary embolism can begin so quietly, tiptoeing into our lives with symptoms that might seem ordinary: a fleeting numbness, a brief confusion, a leg that feels just a bit different. We've learned how easy it is to dismiss these signals as just getting older, and how, for many, that delay can mean the difference between a quick recovery and a long, difficult road ahead. But now, armed with new knowledge, you stand on firmer ground. You know that your body is always communicating, always sending subtle messages, sometimes gentle, sometimes persistent. You've learned to listen for changes in your speech, movement, or breathing. You understand the importance of recognizing swelling, unexplained fatigue, chest discomfort, and all those tiny clues that, together, might spell something bigger. More importantly, you now know you have every right to speak up, to call your doctor, to insist on answers when something just doesn't feel right. Let me remind you, you are not alone in this. Every senior faces moments of doubt and uncertainty about their health. Every caregiver worries if they're doing enough. And every family member wishes for more time, more joy, more years together. That's why this conversation matters so much. Because it's not only about avoiding tragedy, it's about preserving your independence, your comfort, your laughter, and your everyday joys. So, what's next? Let's turn this information into gentle, lasting habits. Maybe you'll decide to set a timer to get up and move every hour, even if it's just a short walk around the living room. Perhaps you'll put a sticky note on your refrigerator, reminding yourself and your spouse or visiting grandchildren about the signs of stroke and pulmonary embolism. Or maybe you'll share what you've learned today with a friend, a neighbor, or your local senior group. starting a ripple effect of awareness and care. And don't forget, your healthcare team is there for you. The next time you have an appointment, bring up your concerns. Ask your doctor about your personal risk factors. Request a review of your medications, especially if you're on blood thinners, hormone therapy, or have a history of heart or lung disease. Keep a list of symptoms or changes you notice. No detail is too small. And if you ever feel unsure, trust your instincts and seek a second opinion. But let's not stop at prevention and reaction. Let's celebrate the strength and resilience you've built over the years. Think about all the challenges you've faced and overcome, the changes you've adapted to, and the wisdom you've gathered. Use that wisdom now to stay a step ahead of potential health issues. Reward yourself for every proactive choice, every doctor's appointment kept, every walk you take, every conversation you start about wellness. Remember, health isn't just about avoiding illness. It's about living each day with curiosity, courage, and connection. Stay active, whether that means joining a walking group, gardening, dancing in your kitchen, or simply stretching while watching your favorite show. Stay hydrated, enjoy nutritious meals, and cherish the power of small routines that support your body and mind. Let's also talk about the power of support. If you're caring for an older parent, spouse, or friend, your role is invaluable. Your vigilance, encouragement, and compassion can truly change the course of someone's health journey. For those living alone, build your safety net, a circle of friends, a regular phone call, a neighbor who checks in, or a faith community that lifts you up. These connections are as important as any medicine. Before we close, I encourage you to make one promise to yourself today. Promise to never brush off a new or unusual symptom as just age. Promise to honor your body's messages and to advocate for yourself and your loved ones, no matter how busy life gets, no matter how small the worry seems. That single promise could be the reason you or someone you care about has many more healthy, happy years ahead. If you found today's conversation helpful, please don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with family, friends, and anyone in your community who might benefit. Every person who learns these signs becomes a guardian of their own health and may become the helping hand for someone else in need. Finally, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Your commitment to learning and caring is what keeps our community strong and vibrant. Keep asking questions, keep sharing stories, and keep showing up for your own well-being. The more we know, the more we can do together. Until next time, stay safe, stay proactive, and remember, you are the hero of your own health story. Take pride in every wise choice, every brave question, and every act of care. Your future and the futures of those you love are brighter for it.